Welcome to the Protecting Outcomes podcast. I'm Brian Rooney, and I'm here with my brother today.
Devon Rooney.
Yeah. So, this podcast is about helping people understand how to protect the things that actually matter in life, in work, and in business. Just remember that we're not doctors, we're not therapists, we're just two regular guys sharing the things that we've learned and what is helping us grow and just be better and the things that make a real difference for us. So, today we're going to talk about my book, Protecting Outcomes. We're going to talk about chapter one. And because I think in chapter one, at the end of the day, outcomes are what everything else is built on. So, protecting outcomes obviously is the name of the podcast. So, we're going to talk about chapter one in the book because it's important to me.
And if you can't see, if you're not watching, if you're just listening, you go to protectingoutcomes.com to get that book. If you're watching, I've got a QR code on my screen that you can scan and go get that book. And the Audible version should be out in 6 days' time, I think, Brian.
Yeah, yeah, it was going to be yesterday, but it'll be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, you can get your book fix by checking it out at protectingoutcomes.com. Okay, sales pitch over. Let's get into chapter one of the book. So, just kind of want to start with if you guys haven't listened to any of our stuff and haven't seen my book at all, I started writing this book. I wrote this book to help people understand where the breakdown, I guess, is, or where the gap is between employees and owners and expectations at work and that kind of stuff. And it just turned out to be that the things in this book actually are applicable across just life in general. So the chapter starts out with, I'm just going to read you the first blurb from the chapter. Uh, so protecting outcomes starts here. Most employees believe that effort is what gets noticed. Owners know that outcomes are actually what matter. This gap between how employees think value is created and what owners actually evaluate is the reason so many people feel overlooked, underappreciated, or stuck in their careers. It's not because they aren't working hard, it's because they may not understand what their effort produces after it leaves their hands. So it's not about working harder, guys. It's about understanding that protecting outcomes for everybody is what you need to be doing, right? So when I say protecting outcomes for everybody, this can be a mindset shift for you if you're working for someone and it'll
Or
be a
not,
or not,
or or if you're retired, because it was big for me.
Yeah, so if you're focused on what's in it for me and only on what's in it for me, it makes it makes it less easy for you to become high value at work or in life. I'm using at work examples because that's easy for me. But like if you're considering the reputation of the company, the customer's experience, all of those kinds of things for the company, you got to understand that at the end of the day, protecting outcomes for the company also protects everybody else. Like I think some people, I don't know, Devin, what do you think? I think some people don't ever really think about outcomes for who they work for or for the
I
people that they're around. They're only concerned about themselves and the what's in it for me.
Yeah. And that's why I always say I want to work for you is because like your culture at your shop is exactly what I was promised everywhere else, but you actually do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I worked with guys that they're great. but they always had a chip on their shoulder about what the owner had. And I worked at a shop that was, I mean, we were like number one in the Pacific Northwest. And we have a millionaire owner. And it was a quote unquote family owned business. Um, it was a silly chip on people's shoulder that like, yeah, if you changed your mindset about like the things that you protected and I had to have conversations with some of my technicians because I worked my way up. Similar to you, I didn't go to shop ownership, but I started as like low end totem pole kid moving in, worked my way up quickly to team leader and then lead diagnostician to shop foreman. And it was like, it was hard for me because they were my friends that I was working. The hardest transition is like moving up through a system
Yeah, right.
with people and then
Well,
people.
so and moving up through the system is hard because like okay, so the people that don't know us yet just know about me and about Devon that we've been automotive technicians for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um, and so when he's talking about the shop, he's talking about an auto repair shop, and me too. I own an auto repair shop. So I've been a technician, I've been the manager, and now I'm the owner. I've been the owner at my shop for seven, almost 8 years. So we're just giving you perspective from like where we've been at. And so what's tough about the transition, right, from technician to manager, because shop foreman is a management position,
Yeah.
right? What's tough about that is like you move from being with the guys to being in charge of the guys, and there's usually a little bit of resentment in there from somebody about you got something that they didn't get that they might want, but they probably weren't asking for it or showing that they wanted the same thing, right? They wanted the promotion or wanted to be in charge. But when you move from technician to management, did your perspective change on protecting outcomes when you moved? Because
I
a technician mindset is I need to turn as many hours as I possibly can turn because that gets me paid the most.
s-
And
so that was your book explains it all. Protectingoutcomes.com.
yeah,
I never had that, Brian. I was always like, if the company does better, I do better.
yeah,
I
okay.
was always a protecting outcomes guy. I always loved talking to customers. I didn't have the chip on my shoulder. I didn't want the shop foreman job. That's what I was going to tell you right
Oh,
there is
okay,
that you
okay,
guys
okay.
weren't asking the questions. And I was like, because as you outline in your book, and that we'll go through in this, that's exactly what I was.
Yeah.
I did what I was asked and above and beyond
Mhm.
because it was for the good of the company. When
Yeah.
I got, maybe sometime we can go through my whole deal, but when I went back, I had talked with, I don't know what his position was. It was created for him. He's like second at the company. He'd been there the longest. He was my hiring manager in 2009. You asked me about when I was a foreman and my guys. It was like I had to have the conversation with one of the guys, my guys that was a go-to guy. He would take there was always crappy stuff. I was at a big shop. We had 15 to 20 guys most of the time. And of course, I had my go-to guys that were willing because they would help me. It was to help me. When you asked about was there a shift in looking at the company as an overall, it wasn't for me, but like when I moved up, the guys that I was close with would, were looking at it like for me, like I was the company. And so that was good, but it was a lot of going in and like complaining about I need a raise because I can't afford to live here. And I was like, dude, you have got to shift your mindset of it cannot be because your lifestyle went up. It needs to
Yeah.
be about what you bring to this company and
Yeah.
what you benefit the company for and why you deserve that.
Yeah. And there's a whole, not a whole, but in one of the chapters in the book, I talk about that,
Okay. Yeah.
about when it's time to ask for a raise,
Yeah.
basically,
Yep.
and how to go about that. But there is something in chapter one that I think is super important. I call it the invisible scorecard.
Hmm.
So the invisible scorecard is it's what your owner or the managers that are in charge of you, like it's what they have in their mind all the time. There's no physical scorecard that they keep tallies on or anything like that for anybody. It's a mental ledger, and they're always considering where their people are at on some things, like if a problem comes up and you make the problem worse, or if you make the problem better. They think about who they're going to have to follow up on and who they don't have to follow up on. They're scoring who they have to worry about all the time and who they know they don't. And it's not a personal kind of thing. They're protecting the company, and they're thinking about the people that make things easier versus the people that make things harder. Who's putting stuff on their plate and who's taking stuff off their plate.
Yeah.
Because you become really high value when you're constantly taking things off of the owner's plate.
Yeah.
So,
And I know you talk about it in the book too, about that's the thing is like raising the right things early. And
yeah.
because so in the automotive industry, being the when I was a lead diagnostician, I got all of the comebacks. I did them all. I think that was a detriment to the shop that we were at, but we didn't have trustworthy guys. The thing is, the car never lies. And when you have something, when your service is something that people use every single day, people notice. Like
Right.
they're going to find out. And what I love about your shop is that you've got your crew now where everyone is on board of like
Yeah.
what and when to take care of it to protect the outcome of the customer's experience because I mean that's what it's about.
Yeah. Yep, and it is. And that only came when we had conversations about after I figured out that protecting outcomes is what it's all about. Then we started to talk about, hey, what do we really want at the end of the day, guys? We want our clients to have a good experience with us, whatever that looks like, because when our clients have a good experience, our company's protected, our reputation is protected, our sales dollars are protected because when our customers or our clients have a good experience with us, they want to spend money with us. And they have that good experience that builds trust. Trust is really important as well. But when our clients have a good experience and everything goes good, there's things that don't go good sometimes just because that's how it happens. But when everything goes good, everything goes right, everyone was communicated with, everybody did what they said they were going to do in the whole process from the day the client made their appointment to the day that we finish their car and they pick it up and pay for it. If everything flows good, then everything's protected.
Yeah.
Everything down under, I don't want to like make it like a hierarchy, right, of who's where on a
Yeah.
level, but so like if I okay, so maybe I do make that like a hierarchy,
Yeah.
right?
Just to get
So
people to understand.
when you're protecting your own outcomes and not considering the outcomes for the company, you're putting yourself up here and the company down here,
Yep.
and the client probably somewhere in between, because you got to take care of the client or you can't stay up here. But when you shift your mindset to the outcomes for the company need to be here, like at the end of the day, the company needs to be
At
protected
at the
because
top for those
it's
listening.
the umbrella,
Yeah.
right? The
Yep.
company protects everything. It protects the workflow that creates the good customer experience, and then that protects you as an employee or in the shop as a technician or a service writer or whatever. And if you're only protecting you or considering that, then this starts to fall apart up here,
At the
right?
top. Yeah.
So the
Yep.
mindset shift just needs to be, obviously, this is my opinion, but I think it's a pretty strong point. Just think about the big picture because you'll be covered if you just take care of the company.
Yeah.
Like act like you own it. That's what this is about is think like it's titled Protecting Outcomes. Why thinking like an owner changes everything. I
Yeah.
forgot that was the subtitle for a minute there.
Thinking like an owner, it does. It helps you really people have to realize like you should if you're frustrated with the company, maybe you need to think about where you are because like you wouldn't be there without it. So like why would you not protect it? Because
Yeah,
it allows you everything, right? Like
yeah, exactly. So, and you protecting outcomes for the company also, if you can focus on helping the company excel and be great and do good service and give good client experiences, you're protected. Like, because if you don't do that, you actually limit your potential for lots of things, for raises, for more opportunities. Because if the company reputation starts to dwindle because you don't care and nobody cares, then you end up with fewer clients. People leave, which means less sales, which means the possibility of the company thinking, well, we can't afford to have everybody here now, or cutting your hours or whatever. And I'm not saying everything's your fault if you don't care about the company, but just understand that if you don't take the time to think like an owner and understand why everything affects the operation and the profitability at your company, then you're not helping the company grow. You're not protecting outcomes for yourself because you're not protecting outcomes for the company. So,
yeah, and you had like you're just a guy or whatever. It's like, dude, your coaching company is like asking you what you're doing at your shop because it's working so well.
yeah,
So give
it is.
yourself more credit than that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And for us, that's the culture here because we have great people that work for us.
yeah.
And I always just want them. It feels weird at times because I'm like talking to my people about how they are thinking about protecting outcomes for themselves. And then we get to talk about by protecting outcomes for the company, you do that for yourself as like a side effect,
Hmm.
right? It automatically comes because you're doing it for everybody and not
Yeah.
just you.
Well, and also I really like since we've been talking, I like that you are invested in other people, all of your people's growth, their
Yeah.
personal growth, which is I'm like everything you've talked about. I was like, I want to come work here, and hopefully you're going to be like pushing people away that or maybe you have to open a second shop because of the way
Yeah.
you run it, which would be awesome. But like I was thinking when you were saying that about your analogy, I was like, if we got automotive people listening where it's like just not connecting, it's like think about a manual transmission and your synchro goes out. It's like the transmission is the company. And if you're a synchro and you're just like out doing your own thing, it's like you gotta do the repair, pull it apart, replace that synchro sometimes if you're like,
Yeah, that makes sense. And for those of you that don't understand how manual transmissions work, The synchronizer is what makes it not go when you pull it into the next gear. So be the synchro that works
Yeah, yeah.
and works when you're supposed to. And so from an employee perspective, I would say if you don't understand what you can do to protect the outcomes for your company, start asking questions.
Ask.
Go to your manager, go to the owner if there's somebody that's approachable or if they're on site. I understand like absentee owners that are never at the business that everybody else just runs it. Okay, first of all, stop being jealous that the owner has stuff. I remember when I first started out, the guy that I was working for, I was super jealous because he had two lake houses, he had fancy boats, he had brand new Yukon Denali's, he had a Bentley, he had motorcycles, he had all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, I'm just over here getting $15 an hour, and he's not paying me what I'm worth, and he's got all this stuff, and he can afford to give me more. Don't be like that. Be like, how can I help that guy maintain the level that he's at? Because if I help him do that, he'll take care of me or
Hmm.
she. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you too is that like you mentioned absentee owners, and what I hear you talk about a lot of the time and is in your book is like you are looking at development tools. You're looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It's not a you're just off riding jet skis in the wind.
Yeah. And so the things that you don't always understand as an employee unless you've sat and talked with owners about, what they do. Owners don't wake up in the morning and okay, so when I wake up in the morning, the first thing that's on my mind is what could happen today that could make things go off track? Like I'm not worried about it, but it's always in my mind.
Mhm.
And it's there's there's a perspective as an owner that's like I'm worried about everything, how everything happens. I'm constantly thinking about what's next. Are we going to make payroll? Do we have enough work for everybody? Is anybody going to be sick? Are we going to have to reschedule stuff? Have we delivered on everything that we said we were going to do for everybody? And is there anybody in my team that might make that not work properly? Not that I'm expecting it to happen, but the thoughts are always there. And owners are always working. I don't know if you could even be an owner and not be constantly thinking about what the next thing is, what you have to do. Like my mind never stops about my company.
Well, and two, that's the employee that's got the chip on their shoulder about the owner is like
Yeah.
when I get to talk to you, which is a lot now, it's awesome, but like you're usually brainstorming with me about who you just talked to. Like you're working
Hmm.
almost all the time.
Yeah, I am.
So like there's a having the employee that's like, "Oh, I'm doing all this work. I'm putting in extra and overtime," which like a lot of people get paid for if you're an hourly shop, is like
Mhm.
you're getting paid to be there.
Right.
Um, and so that's just I think they don't see it. And I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder for that multimillionaire owner for a while, but it was like I wonder what he's doing. And he's got the people that he trusts in the right places to protect the outcomes.
Yeah.
And after I talked to his girlfriend, it was like, oh, no wonder he's a multimillionaire. He's got three dealership
Yeah.
level shops, five used car, three auto body, like
Sure.
body repair shops. Like he's got a lot on his plate.
Yeah, so perfect example there of you don't know what you don't know. So you can
Exactly.
assume that They're just kicking back, collecting money, drinking palomas, and
Yeah.
having fat cigars every night because you're making them a bunch of money and they
Yeah.
just are
It's
stacking cash in their bank account. And
yeah.
what you don't see is the other things that your owners have their mind on and the other, I'll call it irons they have in the fire, because a lot
Yeah.
of us have a lot of irons in the fire. But just ask them, hey, how do you get to that level? Or see if you can get your owner to open up to you and talk to you about what they expect from you, because clear expectations are really nice because communication matters, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if you'll take the time to spend some time with your owner, if they're willing, and just find those things out, you don't have to get permission to do that. You don't have to prepare. And get ready to as we get ready to close out this podcast, I just want you guys to understand something that has been a recent realization for me. You can decide that you're going to do something and just go do it. You don't have to have a plan, because if it's a good thing, the plan will come. Things will fall into place. So, um, what do we say, Devin?
Ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. Yeah, exactly. Because you can
And that
ready,
was
aim, fire, and you'll get stuck on the aim and never fire.
yeah.
So
And
just
that
ready,
was what I was
aim,
gonna
fire, guys.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say about the talking to your owner too, is that like what's the outcome you want? How do I get
Yep.
here? What did you do to get here? Like give them some insight. But yeah, ready, fire, aim is for sure what's up.
Yeah. And that actually turns out that that protecting outcomes, the book, is going to be a huge tool for so many people. I didn't know that it was going to be as big of a deal as it is, but we've got people saying that they took away from it, that now they have language, as from an owner's point of view, now they have language that they can use to communicate their expectations to the people that they're in charge of. And I've had people come and say that, people that aren't owners or people that are managers, that were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could have those conversations with people. I
Yeah.
never thought about saying that, and that'll just make life easier. And it all boils down to communication, communicating what the expectation is for the outcomes, and everybody's better for it when you communicate. So,
And your book is literally the example of ready, fire, aim. I
yeah,
remember
it
when
is.
you
Yeah.
said we talked about like you thought you wanted to write a book for a long time. I said, me too. And look, that's exactly what it was. You just ready, fire, aim, and you adjusted
Yep.
and corrected, and it's out. Like,
On the go, yeah,
yeah,
or on the fly. Hey, I just want to thank you for watching or listening on whatever platform you're following us on. The Protecting Outcomes podcast it's a really cool thing for me. I really really like that I get to talk to my brother about things that are important to me and things that are important to other people. There's something that is close to the end of my book that I want to kind of try and drive home for you guys about this. I know we talked a lot about my book today. We're going to talk a lot about the book because there's so much good stuff in it on future episodes. But the part that I want to really try and drive home is that protecting outcomes is really probably the most important part of just life in general, I guess. And through reading my book and through following us on the podcast and on social media and stuff, you guys are going to start to understand that once you see protecting outcomes clearly, you can't unsee it. And once you start to operate that way, everything changes. Thanks again for watching and for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.